Bob, while we take another minute for people to join, maybe you can tell us about the climbing wall that's now in the McPolin gym.
Let's get started. Yeah, Nate Brown is our PE specialist teacher. He came to us from Ecker Hill. This is an activity he did at a previous school. I don't know if it was Parley's where he had also worked or elsewhere, but he went, I believe it was through the Ed Foundation, correct, Abby?
Yeah.
Got a grant and wanted to offer kids an opportunity for that sort of activity. So we have a climbing wall that probably goes up about 8 feet that students can have fun working on. But we also like to do things yet. I'm pushing him. You can put math facts and you can put critical vocabulary on the different handholds, and the students have to be able to work out the problem before they're allowed to move to the next move and things. And so we always, learning is our goal. And so finding any way that we can anchor that learning for students. So some students like sitting in a room and doing it like that. Other students when they're being very active. So the climbing wall is brand new to us and we're looking forward to having them climb on and not fall off. Looking forward to that, but there's a big pad underneath it. It should be fine.
My daughter is a fourth grader at McPolin and she's not sure it's tall enough for her. But a short Mr. Brown can't watch everyone if they go too high. So
not everyone is a McNulty and has George as their dad too.
all right, well, let's start. I know we'll have a few more people join us, but
Awesome.
we'll keep to our time commitments. I want to welcome everyone today. My name is Abby McNulty. I'm the executive director of the Park City Education Foundation. Our goal today is one, to give a special thanks to our Scholar Circle members who are leadership annual donors of the Park City Education Foundation in supporting our work, which is to help all students reach their academic and lifelong potential. And another goal today is to connect you to the leaders in your school, in our school district. So we're grateful to have Mr. Bob and Mrs. Time. Also call with us today is Dr. Jill Gilday, the superintendent of our schools, and Anna Stampley, who is the parent education and community engagement coordinator. And I will hand it off to her in just a second. Before I do, I wanted to remind everyone why the Education Foundation exists in Park City. We are the lowest funded education system in the country. And of all the tax dollars designated to support public education, 96% of those that are collected in our community leave Summit County to support other school districts around the state. And so our job is to help fund some of the programs that our community would like to see, needs to see in our schools, and to change the equation for Park City School District students, families, and teachers. We have 8 core programs that are listed here on the screen. You can dive more deeply into these programs on our website, which is pcef4kids.org. And when I have a sec, I'll enter that into the chat section. And you can also look more closely on our website to learn about the programs that we specifically fund at each school. So whether you're a grandparent at McPolin or a parent at McPolin, want to know more about what we do to support kids, teachers, and families at McPolin, diving onto our website is a great way to do that. When you make a donation to the Ed Foundation, 100% of your gift stays in the community to support our schools. And I will say that this year has been filled with many silver linings, but one of the things that's been most amazing for me to see as someone who's been an advocate and champion of public education for many years, and 13 years at the Ed Foundation now, is how much our community has rallied around our teachers, administrators, and school staff. And we all now acutely are aware of how important our schools are in our daily lives as parents, as a functioning community. and what our schools do for kids. So a huge heartfelt thank you. My kids are students at McPolin. My son is now at Ecker Hill, but I still have a fourth grader there. So just a giant thank you to Mr. Ed and his team and all the educators across the school district. One thing that we've added into our work this year is a teacher and student wellness initiative, providing resources, emergency relief resources to education staff, to families, as well as resources for our teachers to feel supported and grounded this year, whether it be a coffee camper from Lucky Ones coming to the school, or a yoga or mindfulness class at a discount or free. Those are new initiatives for us in response to the COVID pandemic. So we are grateful and thankful for all of your support as education champions too. We cannot do this without you, and all of the programs we are able to provide are because of our community's engagement in the Ed Foundation's work and in our schools. A little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to pass it over to Anna Stampfley, and she'll do a quick introduction. Then Bob will speak, and we're reserving 15 minutes to take your questions. If you have a question, please enter it into the chat. It's at the bottom of the screen. And also please note we are recording this. All right, thanks so much for being here. Anna.
Thanks, Abby, for the introduction, and thank you all for being here this afternoon for our conversation with our neighborhood school principal. When I moved to Park City 3.5 years ago with my family from Scarsdale, New York, my 4 children entered the school district at various levels. My son at the time was entering his junior year at the high school. And then I have 3 daughters. One was entering her freshman year, which here in Park City is Treasure Mountain Junior High. It wasn't the same structure from where we came. And then I have a daughter who is entering 7th grade at Ecker Hill, and another daughter who is entering Parley's Park in 5th grade. So I was navigating various levels of the school district. And what we learned as a community, and what Dr. Gilday and the school board recognized, was that the community needed someone at the district level to answer questions they may have, guide them through processes and procedures, and to help navigate the school district on behalf of our children. And that's where my position came from. And I am extremely happy and grateful to be serving the community in this way, in this position. And I look forward to answering your questions today and in the future. My information will be up at the end of this meeting, so you can take it down. As Abby said, we are looking for questions for interaction with myself, with the principal, with Abby, with Dr. Gilday, who's joined us on the phone call. And as you submit your questions into the chat, please keep in mind that we want everyone on the phone call to benefit from those answers. So if you have anything specific about your children at McPolin to ask Mr. Edmiston or myself, please do those at another time. So now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Principal Edmiston.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share a little bit about McPolin and get a chance to brag. And it's easy to do. And I'll have Mitch start with our first slide. McPolin Elementary School. Our tongue-in-cheek joke is we're the best elementary school in Park City. And that's more about we're the only elementary school in the city limits of Park City. And yet there's a little more to it. We have we work very hard to be the absolute best we can for all students and for our community each and every day with a very high expectation, but we also like having a little fun. Thanks, Mitch. Next slide. McPolin is, we call it a just right size majority minority school. We call it a majority minority school because we do not have any one demographic or group that dominates the school. We are all but a 50-50 split, Hispanic to Caucasian. We are a targeted Title I school. That means that we have, we've averaged, I've been here since 06, 07. I spent 3 years at the high school since, which by the way, was the greatest experience. And one of the best parts about it, why I bird walk a little bit, was I got to see where the students end up after starting in elementary school. And we have an amazing school district and an amazing high school that I was so fortunate to be there. But we are a targeted Title I school. So about 40 to 50% of our students since I've been here qualify for a free reduced lunch. We have families that come from Deer Valley. We have Park Meadows, Prospector, and it just creates a wonderful diversity within the school community. And it's kind of fun being in town. A lot of the longstanding families in the Park City area continue to now be grandparents at McPolin. So it makes it a very safe, welcoming neighborhood school. We only have about 20 students that ride a bus every day to our school. Instead, in the winter, it's car, but in the summer, it's bikes, it's longboards, it's all sorts of ways. And when we're able to not have to distance, it becomes a nice gathering place before and after school to visit. We work extremely hard to make sure that we offer our students a complete, well-rounded education here at McPolin. Learning is priority number one, on top of safety, which is even more important this year. And we will use anything we can to meet the needs of all of our students. I want to quick go back to a little bird walk, and this year's been in particularly challenging and an opportunity. The MFSF letters you see on the slide, that's the McPolin Family Support Fund. When this pandemic first hit, this is a type of school where it was my PTO, it was our PTO, I'm sorry. It was our PTO came to me and said, what are we going to do for our families that are out of work? What are we going to do for all these families that are struggling? They were able to, with the help of the Ed Foundation and our community members, they were able to collect over $20,000 in a very short amount of time that we have been disseminating to families through a process of $200 gift cards to help parents survive during this very difficult time, starting last May, I believe, all through the summer, and we're continuing. In fact, Abby and her team, along with our PTO, have just secured, I think I just saw another $8,500. That's the type of school we are. That is parents saying, we want to make sure that every student is supported here. The after-school program, also initiated through the Ed Foundation, and is now a district-wide program because of this success, offers students a safe place to be after school, 5 days a week. Summer school, another Ed Foundation program that we started together. It is now, last year during the quarantine of COVID, I believe we were close to 400 students. And we know that our students need that sort of support, and McPolin is the perfect school to do it. Oh, what else? AVA is another program. We will do whatever we need to make sure we meet students' needs. All students can do art. At McPolin, Stephanie Kimchi makes it clear, there's no such thing as bad art. And that's also a place where certain students can thrive and express themselves in a way otherwise they might not be able to. So we know that students need to feel safe and welcome, as do our families, and we will do whatever we need to accomplish that end. How about next slide, Mitch? Kind of flailed on that one. Communication, relationships, and trust. I've been in public education now over 30 years. I've been in Park City School District since 06, 07. We have an amazing school district, and yet the most important component and quality that we need to continue to work on every day is communication, which is what this whole meeting is about, relationships, and trust. We have a organized process for communicating with our families. I send out a note every Wednesday to make sure they know what's going on. We have a video. I have one to share with you today. I send out every Thursday, and then teachers send home weekly notes. We use Classroom Dojo so that parents can message to our teachers safely all the time. When we build safe relationships, how do you do that, Bob? That's when trouble happens. And that's what happens. Learning is taking advantage of those moments when mistakes happen. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. They can be, and once were in my career, became challenging conversations with parents. Now it's the opportunity. Hey, this is what happened. Let's figure out what it is and help the student learn from that experience, as we as well, to help go forward. And when we go through those activities over and over again and build safe, intimate relationships with our community, we can do anything. We can accomplish anything. And we welcome all feedback, most importantly, the critical feedback when things don't work well. Do we want to show the video, or would that be too much time? Takes about 2 minutes.
I think we can show the video. Yep.
All right. This is the kind of thing we do at McPolin. Am I clicking, or is Mitch? I think Mitch is.
Everybody, welcome back. Today is Thursday. Today is January 21st, and this is McPolin Moment number 21. And yes, Mr. Edmiston, Mr. Ed, proud principal of McPolin Elementary School with some of McPolin's finest fourth grade students. Hey, in an effort to continue to focus on priority number 1, which is safety and staying open, we have a little performance for all of you to help you remember all the things we can do to stay COVID safe. Un momento. Are we ready?
Yeah!
COVID, COVID, COVID.
COVID, COVID, COVID.
COVID to the left.
COVID to the left.
COVID to the right.
COVID to the right.
COVID all around till you do the COVID right.
COVID all around till you do the COVID right.
Masks to the left.
Mask to the left.
Masks to the right.
Mask to the right.
Masks all around till you do the masks right.
Mask all around till you do the mask right.
Distance to my left.
Distance to my left.
Distance to my right.
Distance to my right.
Distance all around till you do the distance right.
Distance all around till you do the distance right.
Washing to the left.
Washing to the left.
Washing to the right.
Washing to the right.
Washing all around till you wash it all right.
Washing all around till you wash it right.
COVID, COVID, COVID.
COVID, COVID, COVID.
COVID to the left.
COVID to the left.
COVID to the right.
COVID to the right.
COVID all around till you do it COVID right.
COVID all around till you do the COVID right.
Woo-hoo! Thank you. And you can turn it up.
Thank you for that. This is a sort of silly yet important activity that we will do all the time to make sure families know what's going on and feel, if they don't have an answer to the question they know they can either go to the front office or find someone else to do it. When we all work together, everyone achieves more. Thanks, Mitch. And then the last slide, I think it's our last slide. At McPolin, we rock. One, we believe in safety and making sure all students feel welcomed and safe at school. We feel the same way about our families. Our rules, our positive behavior program, we have a motivated moose assembly every month where students are recognized for exemplifying our rules, which are respect, organization, cooperation, and kindness. We use these rules all day long. We use Classroom Dojo to give students points for doing the work right and exemplifying that work. And what we found are 2 things. One, great instruction solves all problems. And at McPolin, we have an incredible staff. Not only are they experts, they also are passionate and love all students. And then when we add this behavior plan on top of that, I am so proud, and with the superintendent listening, I love the feedback we've been getting from the state that we don't have enough negative incidences to report to the state every year. They're like, you don't have enough incidences to report. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I promise I'll try to come up with one for you. But quite frankly, we're able to manage all of our situations, at a very low level, and use it as an opportunity to learn. I wanted to share Amanda Gorman in this picture only because she stole the show, 22-year-old. And what I liked about her and what I wanted to use this for is for her to say, and this is the year I'm going to be the president. We want students to leave this school with that whole child support, where they are not only being supported academically, but behaviorally and socially, emotionally, which we've all learned is that much more important. Oh, and don't let me forget, we are one of 2 public school-wide dual immersion schools. This isn't a magnet school or a charter school where you apply to come to. If you're in our boundaries without lottery, you are in a Spanish dual immersion school. Mr. Edmiston was resistant to this idea when it first came. I have well learned the mistake that I made at that time. Our goal is not to have exceptionally proficient Spanish speakers. Our goal is to expose students to a 2-language experience that demands a cognitive press on these students starting at the youngest grades. It starts in 1st grade. They're learning content in both languages. They learn empathy. All of a sudden, the student that maybe they didn't think was as good in class, but that kid is completely fluent in Spanish. And I now need to make friends with this person and learn from them so they can then learn from me on the English side as well. It has created an inclusive environment at our school. Now our strengths our differences are our strengths. And it has brought this school together in a way that I had not anticipated. And it makes this, it's just a great place to work, and it's a great place to come to school. And if you don't think so, let us know, and we'll figure out why you don't, and we will make it great for you as well.
For you guys too.
Thank you so much, Principal Edmiston, for that wonderful description of your absolutely wonderful school. We have about 5 minutes open here for questions
Sorry.
from the listeners. No worries. If anybody has any questions for either Principal Edmiston or myself or Abby or Dr. Gilday, you just put it in the chat. You can click on chat at the bottom and upload it and everyone will see it.
I think it'd be better. Let's have Allison. What did I miss, or what did I error in and overemphasize or not include? Allison's one of our great parents.
Nothing. Mr. Ed, I have no questions. I just want to tell you we love you. We think you're just amazing.
And you will learn quickly. I put on a good show and I'm a good talking head, but it is these teachers and it is our staff that they're just amazing. And we have the fortunate piece that I have been here all but 3 years since 06, 07. I've hired just about every person here. And every person who works here, I don't care what your job is, you are asked this question: define for us a servant's heart. And trust me, every time we ask it, people look at you sideways, like, what is that? The best answer is when people have looked at me and go, no, I don't have that, because they didn't know what they were being asked. And they've turned out to be the people with the best servant's heart.
Well, they have a good leader, and I've become friends with a couple of them, and they love working for you. So
Because we all have a servant's
really
heart.
a special place.
We're here for kids. And I want to add, this is an amazing school district. No great school districts are built on great elementary schools. Bottom line, if it doesn't have an elementary school, there's no way to catch up later on. But because we have great elementary schools across the district, when you go to that high school, it is the most dynamic, welcoming, positive school. These kids have visual arts. They can do PC caps. They can do athletics. When I was there, their LGBTQ organization was one of the first high schools in the country to have a neutral gender bathroom, and were recognized for it. And they won a national award. And what's cool is then the jocks and your AP students, there is no bullying and criticism. They respect each other. The music program, I will tell any parent, get your kid in music. I don't care if they can't play a note. Just get them in music, because when they get to the high school, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Hughes, and I know now Mr. Tanner's moved on, there's a new teacher. It is the most dynamic, amazing program, the percussion program. These kids put on painter clothes. I mean, it looked like that music school in New York. They used to have that TV show. They walk into the middle of the lunchroom with ladders and those big orange buckets, and they just put on a performance impromptu. And there is nothing but cheering and celebrating when the kids are doing it. So
That's awesome.
It's a great school district, but I do know that it's the elementary schools that start the process that if you engage in this school district, you have no excuse for not taking full advantage of your potential. And that's why I showed Amanda Gorman, because we got a bunch of Amanda Gormans graduating from our school every year.
Yeah, she is amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bob, maybe give us 30 seconds of what has been an unexpected and pleasant surprise this year.
Two things. One, the kids. Everyone's all upset about COVID and how they're going to handle it. The kids, they wouldn't know the difference. And literally, if you come into the school, if you could come into the school, except for the masks and some of the, it's a normal day. And it's because the kids are like, what do you want me to do? I can do that. I can do that. So that's just been so refreshing to be taught at my age. It's all about attitude. You know, you always have to see the opportunity, and the students are the enthusiasm and energy that's kept us going. And they are a joy like never before. And we haven't had any strep, any tummy viruses.
No flu.
Apparently wearing masks, washing your hands, and keeping distance has an amazing positive impact. We're worried about attendance. I think our attendance is better this year. And no one would have anticipated that. And I anticipate us using some of these same strategies going forward to keep us from having some of those outbreaks in the past.
I have one question. So, and you guys probably don't know the answer yet, and we'll see how the summer plays out. But do we anticipate for our kids to be able to split their days half and half Spanish, half English, or rather than having the full days of the classes in the fall?
I'm not going to say yes or no, actually. I'm going to let teachers share that, because I can share with this group, looking at our middle of year data so far, which is writing assessment and the dibbles.
Yeah.
It looks not just like a normal year, it actually looks a little better.
Oh.
And so we're going to evaluate whether staying in that target language all day and flip-flopping every other day has an impact. However, the state model does require that flip-flop in the middle of the day. And I'm going to let the teachers, and that's a determination. I anticipate that is where we will go come next year.
I'm just curious, but hey, there's lots of unexpected lessons learned and maybe best practices that we didn't expect to come out of COVID, but it's going to be a perk. So maybe this is one of them. So
but that does, we get some funding, and we are within the state model, and we have to make sure we comply with their expectations.
Got it. Well, maybe we'll change their mind.
I like you more. That's my fault.
It doesn't hurt to ask. Girl can't help but ask.
Just to note, Dr. Gilday is providing some comments too in the chat section if you don't see it, about DLI and the opportunities in that space. And
oh, perfect. Yeah.
Want to call out also Amanda Davis, her comment that she loves McPolin. And Bob, you are so present with the parent community with weekly updates and videos. And she mentions that and couldn't be more grateful for all that you do to make the school so great. So. And
the daily carpool line. I mean, right? You get to see them every morning and say hello. It's amazing.
No, we're a very fortunate town and community, and it takes all of us. You're very kind.
So I want to be mindful of the time. We have kept you 2 minutes longer than we said we would. I just, again, thank you for being here. The goal is to create connections and community, even though we don't get to see you. I miss being in the on the sidewalk at McPolin and interacting and meeting parents. And so we miss it just as much as everyone else. We look forward to the day where we can be back as volunteers into the schools. And
hey, before we run, Ed Foundation, we couldn't do it without them, everybody. I want you
Yes.
to understand the after
Thank
school,
you.
summer school, preschool, full day kinder, all of those started with the support of the Ed Foundation, which has now become part of the district. And that then we go to EVA, we go to PACE. Without these, without the support, we would not be the same school district we are. And Abby and her team are amazing at being very flexible and supportive any way they can to fit into my crazy world.
Yes, thanks the Park City Ed Foundation too.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes, we're all here together as servants to help our community. And just like Bob said, we all have servants' hearts, and it's a privilege to work with Bob and Dr. Gilday and Anna. So it does take an entire team coming together, and I think that's what we have in Park City. So thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions about the Ed Foundation programs, anything like that, do not hesitate to reach out to anyone on the Ed Foundation staff.
Hey, that
Yeah.
COVID song's copyrighted, so.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Uh-huh.